Parker, first, congratulations on your
Thanks.
first Austin Salem. So it was a good experience for you out there tonight.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic.
So let's talk a little bit about yourself. How long have you been doing this, namely this thing called music?
I started trying to play guitar when I was like 7, and then when I was about 9, I hadn't given up, but I couldn't make any good sounds, so my parents started getting me some guitar lessons, and by the time I was 14 or 15, my dad bought me a little PA. He said, if you're going to try to make any money at this, you got to have your own PA, so we played like the back to school bash and the county fair, the McLean County Fair, that kind of thing for a while, and just kept doing it. So.
What inspired you musically growing up in Oklahoma?
I grew up listening to a lot of Texas singer-songwriters, Lyle Lovett, Robert Earl Keen, Townes Van Zandt, that kind of thing, and also had a lot of blues in the house. My dad is a big Ry Cooder fan and Taj Mahal, and from there, the CDs he gave me, I was able to find like the Rolling Stones, and then Eric Clapton and Stevie Ray Vaughan were a big deal for me for a long time. I wore those records out. And then went backwards, found Robert Johnson and Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters and Mance Lipscomb, and congregational singing is very different from singing on a stage. And congregational singing, especially in the church that I was raised in, everybody's trying to basically make a joyful noise for a higher power. There's a lot less ego involved when you're congregational singing, and you're standing next to this lady who's like 90 years old and is a second soprano singing way up here and just screaming the whole time, and then next to you there's the guy mumbling. Blah, blah, blah. So you hear lots of just raw voices, you never hear them through a microphone with reverb or tuning. It's just right in your ear raw, and that's what I've been drawn to it ever since then. It's powerful. The vocabulary that I grew up around and in still affects me very powerfully. Like a lot of the images that come from the Bible, they've just been with me a long time. They're deep rooted in who I am. Whether or not I believe any of it anymore, those images and that language is still very powerful to me. And it's just when I'm writing, they're easy for me to reach for, those ideas.
You can't deny them; they're a part of who you are, right?
Exactly. I grew up steeped in that stuff, so I can't, really escape it to an extent. I don't think it's what I'll always write about all the time. It's usually best to take 2 or 3 people's stories and mash them together so they don't ask you for money later, A lot of songs just start with a strange little idea, and then you just kind of try to unpack as much as you can from it. And so there have been multiple instances where I see somebody out on the road at a truck stop or, wherever. It's like, I could use a little piece of that guy and pull a song out of it. Like all I'm seeing is the basic details, but I can try to pull a song out of that.
There's also certain, maybe doomsday scenarios is putting it a little too strongly, but and times quality to your songs and the story behind them. Mm-hmm. Is that once again drawn from your religious roots?
Yeah, a lot of it I think was. Some of that was influenced. This election season was just kind of starting when I wrote that song. There's just a lot of like strange things. If you turn on the TV, you're gonna find something you don't like, kind of thing, something kind of scary. And but I've always been fascinated with the apocalypse because in a Pentecostal church, it's kind of dangled in front of you pretty regularly, like get ready, it's coming, So I have just a fascination with the concept. I feel like there's a lot of music that's made to feel less human, and me and my band, we try to make something that feels real and takes you away from the real in front of you, but it still feels real. You know what I'm talking about. Human.
Something that people can connect to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Common humanity.
Yeah, exactly. And there's this certain thing that happens during a performance, whether you're on stage or you're in the audience, where all of a sudden feels like everything locks in and you're completely in the moment. Like there's something about performing I love is you're forced to be in right now because that next note's coming up. You have to be there for it. And when the audience and everybody in the band are in that same place, that's what you're always looking for. When you play with guys that know your style intimately and you know how they're going to react intimately, when it does start to fall apart a tiny bit, everybody catches it, you know, and you fall into their arms, and then you're back on track. But that's the best part, is snapping back, because then something different happens, and then the next time you play this song, you'll do the same thing on purpose, you know.